Hey everybody, we are back at it again with the white vans. Yeah, welcome to Living on the Edge episode 5. We tried to record this last week and the recording file was terrible. We could not put this out at all because we would embarrass ourselves. So we
It's
are...
unfortunate too. You guys missed the fun episode, but we're going to try and provide a really fun replacement.
Yep. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. We apologize for the thing, but tech difficulties, our scheduling conflict. Sit down and record, but again, thank you guys for joining us. It's Living on the Edge episode 5. My name is Alec. I am the host. I am a senior staff writer at On Comics Ground. I review the Amazing Spider-Man comics, the Venom comics. I'm going to be reviewing Spencer and Locke too, so stay tuned for that. I review all the Doctor Who episodes as well, and I'm gonna have to wait a year until I can review more. God damn it! But
right there with you.
Yeah, it's just like I'm as long as they are taking the extra time to refine some of the flaws from the last one, that's good. But if not, then I'm going to be very disappointed. But yeah, so I'm Alec, and I am joined once again by my co-host Ian. So say hi,
everybody.
Ian.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm finally returned back to talking Spidey stuff. I'm another staff writer for On Comics Ground. I also happen to review a bunch of different oddball things here and there. I review Champions. I review Unstoppable Wasp. Been reviewing the last couple of issues of Aquaman recently. A bunch of just weird hodgepodgey stuff. And Alec and I are also both regular personalities on Comics Ground Premiere web series, the live streamed Panel to Panel every week, which you can also catch us on.
Sorry. Yeah, and we just had our episode yesterday. Went very well.
Yep.
There was no episode last week. We don't know what you guys are talking about. Yeah, like
you didn't anything about me and Mary bitching about Uncanny X-Men number 11. No, that never happened.
It didn't happen. Just like our recording last week, and this is the first time we're recording this episode, right, Ian?
Apparently I'm a magnet for tech problems right now.
Well, we've had better luck this week, I think. We can actually hear each other properly.
This is true, yes.
Like with our recording last week, it was like I don't think it was either of us. I think it was just Discord deciding, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna be a bitch today, and we're going to we're just going to like shake the audio and like I don't know. I tried to make an analogy, but I was gonna make it a dark analogy, and I don't want to make a dark analogy. But yeah, so we are going to make another attempt to talk about everybody's favorite series that wasn't X-Men. Spider-Man, yeah, that one, the one that we make this show about. But before we do that, Ian's got a couple of things to say about the upcoming War of the Realms event in Marvel Comics. So, Ian, why don't you take it away?
All right, everybody. So, yeah, Marvel, as Marvel or DC want to do, have a big, huge crossover event comic starting in April. It is entitled War of the Realms. It is a culmination of the, I think, 5 or 6 year long story now that Jason Aaron has been telling within his various Thor series that he's been writing since Thor God of Thunder started in 2012. Through the Adjectiveless Thor, through the Secret Wars Battle Worlds Thors, through Mighty Thor, and back to Adjectiveless Thor again, as it was relaunched in June after Odinson became the God of Thunder once more. In the wake of this, as part of this huge crossover, basically a bunch of different Thor-based villains, or villains from the various 9 other realms of Yggdrasil, all band together to conquer all 10 realms. And War of Realms is built around the premise that there's only one realm left for them to conquer. Midgard. Earth. Because of course. At any rate, as a result of this, Thor and everyone else on Earth has to, put up with this huge, massive attack and invasion, and it's led to a whole bunch of massive, different storytelling shakeups. And in the wake of that, Marvel is putting out a bunch of different tie-ins in both their regular ongoing titles and also various different miniseries and one-shots. And I'm here today to tell you all which ones you can look for if you're curious, if you're trying to find some with certain web slingers in them. So with that in mind, I'm going to start with talking about a few of the ones that come out at least in April and in May. The June's comic solicits have not dropped yet. The May ones only just released yesterday, so we don't really know if there are going to be any other ones that are announced. It's probably unlikely considering the fact that June is when the event itself concludes, as the event itself is only 6 issues, and it starts in April. So it's 2 issues, 2 issues, 2 issues. So I doubt there wouldn't be any new stuff started in June unless it's a one-shot. But at any rate, this is just the stuff that we know that's been announced as of this point. There's a fair amount of stuff. So without further ado, let's first go over this with the April stuff. So first of all, there's the War of Realms Journey to Mystery 5-issue miniseries written by Clint Justin Travis and Griffin McElroy. They're apparently from a podcast themselves called The Adventure Zone, popular podcast online. And they're actually writing their first ever published Marvel Comics work in the form of this miniseries with Andre Lima Arijo drawing the book, which basically involves a group of hodgepodge Marvel heroes having to protect Thor's younger daughter, his little baby daughter, character introduced a couple of years ago by Karen Gillan in Journey to Mystery. It's a whole other thing I don't really need to get into, but basically, in order to protect Thor's baby sister, a group of heroes band together, including Kate Bishop, Wonder Man, Balder the Brave, and amongst them, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. So if you're interested in Miles' involvement with this event, you can look for him in that. That starts in April. Again, it's a 5-issue miniseries. After that, we also have, I think there's at least one other one. Oh yeah, we also have, starting in April, current creative team on Venom, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman will be taking a brief 3-month break from the title so that guest writer and artist Cullen Bunn and Iban Khalil basically can tell a tie-in story to the War of Realms focusing on Venom, as he's basically swept into Malekith's plans for taking over the 10 realms. And Venom kind of has to deal with that nonsense. So that's basically where the main book you can find Venom in. It's going to be through issues 13, 14, and 15 in April, May, and June. So you can look for Venom there. I think that's everything in April for War of Realms stuff specifically featuring spider characters. Let me just quickly go over to May here. All right, so May's got a lot more tie-ins, and it also has, so I'm just going to do a quick rapid-fire breeze through of all of them. The next one we have is War of Realms Strike Force, the War Avengers #1. This is a one-shot that focuses on Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, putting together a team of high-powered heroes and anti-heroes and whatnot to help defend the front lines against various different forces of various different groups of Malekith's forces. And amongst her team, featured on the cover for this one-shot, are Lady Sif, Black Widow, Captain Britain, Bucky Barnes the Winter Soldier, Deadpool, Weapon H, and Venom. So again, that's another book you can look forward to read more of Venom if either you don't find the tie-in stuff that Cullen Bunn is writing particularly interesting, or if you're looking for something with Venom in a team context, you can look for that there. But yeah, it should be fun. I, as someone who's actually one of the very few people who's read Weapon H, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Weapon H there, Clay, interact with all these other characters, like interacting with Venom or with Wade or Stitch should be pretty fun. But there's that one shot there. It's being written by Dennis Hopeless Hallam and with art by Kim Jacinto. I always am afraid I'm mispronouncing their name, and I apologize for that. But they're going to be drawing the book. So that's just the one shot that's out in May. We also have War of the Realms Strike Force, The Land of Giants #1, which is another one-shot with Tom Taylor writing it and George Molina drawing the book. This is one that basically involves Captain America on a rescue mission to find Thor after he's apparently disappeared as part of the narrative. And with him are Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Spider-Man Peter Parker. So that's one book you can find Peter in. That should be a pretty fun one-shot. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Adamantium Agenda miniseries that Tom Taylor wrote last year for Hunt for Wolverine, which Peter was also in and Luke was also in. So hopefully we can get a lot of similar fun banter there. Next up, we have War of Realms, Spider-Man and the League of Realms. Issues 1 and 2 are out in May, with issue 3 being released in June. This is being written by Sean Ryan, with Nico Leone drawing the book. This is basically a 3-part miniseries that features Peter Parker having to lead a group of various characters or various beings from throughout the other 9 realms. Screwbeard the Dwarf, Ud the Troll, Ro Bloodroot the Wizard, Sir Ivory Honeyshot of the Light Elves, and Titania the Mountain Giant. These are characters who have appeared a few times in Jason Aaron's previous Thor stories. It's basically a group of different, more kind of noble, heroic characters that have kind of banded together to protect the various various realms. So now within this story, Peter has to lead them. And so basically it's kind of an interesting dynamic of putting Peter in a leadership role for a group of characters, which doesn't happen that often, so it should be interesting to see. But I do really like the League of Realms characters, and Peter and them like having to defer to Peter is such a weird idea that I'm definitely curious to read that. Anything else oh yeah, one other book, which this is probably one that I'm really happy about. War of Realms, New Agents of Atlas, which is a 4-part miniseries, with issues 1 and 2 being released in May. It's being written by Greg Pak with Gang Hyuk Lim, with covers by Billy Tan. This is basically a follow-up to a storyline that Greg Pak wrote in his totally awesome Hulk run a few years back when Amadeus Cho was the Hulk, wherein Amadeus teamed up with a bunch of different other heroes of Asian American or different Asian descent, and they basically branded themselves the Protectors. Now, they're not going under that code name here, but it's basically more or less the same roster mostly, as we have Amadeus Cho, Shang-Chi, Jimmy Woo. We also have Cindy Moon, aka Silk, one of my personal favorite spider character of all. So it's really cool to see her in a book again, because she's been MIA for a little while outside of very briefly appearing in Spider-Geddon. But basically, this is kind of a book that features them alongside a few other newer characters being introduced, or ones that were introduced in the mobile game, alongside one new Filipino superhero, The Wave, and features them kind of dealing with the various War Realm shenanigans. So I'm looking forward to that. Cindy's a really fun character, and it's nice to see her in a book somewhere. So that's another one you can all look for. Again, the first 2 issues are out in May. And I believe that's it for... Yeah, that's basically it for the War of Realms tie-ins that are coming out in... that are being released that feature spider characters. So if any of you are kind of curious to follow that event at all, or just kind of want to know where to read your favorite web slingers, these are the books to look for, at least the ones that have been announced thus far. They sound pretty fun. Honestly, the War of Realms book itself sounds really fun. Jason Aaron's Thor has been really, really good. I do miss Jane Foster being Thor, but even afterwards, with Odinson once again being the god of thunder and being Thor, the book has remained very enjoyable, very entertaining, and this is an event that's been built up to and foreshadowed for years within that book. So hopefully it should be a lot of fun. Russell Dodderman's drawing the main title with Matthew Wilson coloring it, so the book's going to look gorgeous. So yeah, if you're at all curious to read it, those are the books to check out. The main series itself, War of Realms, starts in April, with the 1st and 2nd issues, and the 3rd and 4th ones being out in May. And again, these are just other tie-ins you can check out to either further expand upon that, or if you're just curious to read the War of Realms stuff that specifically has spider characters in it. Alongside that, there was one other new book that was announced that happens to feature Venom, which is not War of the Realms related.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but this is another one which does seem to be pretty fun, so let me just find this illicit for again. There we are. Savage Avengers #1. So this is a new ongoing secondary Avengers title, which starts in May, written by Jerry Dugan with art by Mike Deodato Jr. and it's basically a new kind of more brutal, more, okay with lethal force Avengers team. Kind of has a little bit of a vibe to like Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts, especially given some of the members here. As the roster is comprised of Wolverine, the Punisher, Elektra, um, Brother Voodoo, Conan the Barbarian, and Venom.
Like,
It's a
okay,
very yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you're good. In all seriousness, especially after the huge in Venom number 11 that just came out yesterday, or if you're listening on Saturday, 3 days ago, because time is a social construct. But I'm really interested to see where Eddie, like what brings him. I wonder if it might have something to do with what's happening in War of the Realms, but I really want to know like what's driving Eddie to become a part of this new team, and how is it going to affect his current run with Kate's. I really want to know why Eddie's like, you know what, I'm going to join this team and be a Savage Avenger. Like Eddie, as far as I can remember, Eddie Brock has never joined any type of team in Marvel at all. Flash Thompson has, Matt Gargan has, but not Eddie. Eddie's always been solo. So seeing Eddie, the Eddie version of Venom, joining up with Wolverine and Punisher and Elektra and Brother Voodoo and Conan the fucking Barbarian, that would be much better if they just added the name fucking to his name, right? Conan the fucking
it feels
Barbarian.
Like it feels pretty natural.
Yeah, but I just want to know what brings Eddie to this group of people, and like why is he going to stay part of this group? But yeah, I personally am looking forward to it because I just want to see how, because like this could be the greatest thing Marvel has done, or it could be the stupidest thing they've ever done. There is an in between, but it's like a very narrow in between. It's like either one extreme, another extreme, or a very narrow in between. There's like no other option for that. But yeah. That's what I think of it, at least.
No, yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, again, between that and again the previously mentioned War of the Realms, Strike Force, the War Avengers #1, it's going to be interesting to see Venom interacting off so many different characters that he generally doesn't or hasn't very often interacted with. I mean, the biggest selling point with the Savage Avengers in particular is Conan's inclusion in that, and thus Conan interacting with all these characters that Conan never has interacted with before, in particular. But seeing like Venom interact with like Brother Voodoo, I think might be fascinating or whatnot. And there's also like something that just occurred to me: the idea of like, presumably, I'm guessing it's like given the positioning of the characters and whatnot, it's probably like something where Logan puts this team together, as he's probably the one to be the most likely sought out to actually put together a Kill Force Avengers team, and him putting together a Kill Force team, like spin-off team, is something that Logan's done before. I mean, that's I think how at least 2 different incarnations of X-Force came about. Was Logan basically trying to put together kind of a lethal force, X-Men strike team. So I have to imagine that, I mean, like, because I don't like Brother Voodoo, I don't really see Likely being the one doing this, and I don't really likely see Punisher doing it either. So, anyway, my point being here is that I'm kind of curious to see how Logan manages to recruit Eddie, because presumably there has to be something here, like that joining the team gives something that Eddie wants or needs, and I'm fascinated to learn what that might be.
Yeah, agreed. Because Eddie's just the kind of person who like doesn't like joining up with other people. He really doesn't, especially how he is now. Like, definitely not.
I mean, at his best of time, I mean, at his best, he's not a people person. He's really not.
Yeah, it's just a lot of how I'm very curious to see is that potential. But that's all I got to say. Ian?
Well, that's pretty much, I think, all I say about that book there. So, I mean, those are just some newer titles, like new number ones that you can order from your local comic shop. I think the April books shouldn't, the order cutoff date shouldn't have passed yet necessarily, so those should be orderable, I think, at this point. The May books might actually not be available to order yet. Depends on whether your comic shop, local comic shop in question, has the May previews catalog in their computer system yet. I know with the store that I shop at, usually they don't get to put it in the system until the week after they drop, so it's probably not going to be something where I'm going to be able to order any of this stuff until next week, though I will be ordering it. But yeah, like, just something to keep in mind if you're like going to your LCS in the near future, or if you buy comics digitally to check Comixology, or even if you like trade weight stuff, to just keep an eye on, make like a mental like write down on a little note or something to kind of remind yourself to keep track of when this stuff comes out in trade paperback down the line. One other thing we wanted to briefly touch on here in regards to the May solicits for Marvel titles is in regards to see if I can find the solicit here. I'm not used to this being in alphabetical order. Scroll through all this M stuff. Is another. Oh, sorry. Okay, found it. So, is the solicit for the 6th issue of Tom Taylor's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it revealing that a new character is joining the book. Basically, Peter is going to be joined by a new web-slinging character titled Spider-Bite. Now, for myself personally, I'm curious about this. It definitely kind of feels a little similar to when Tom Taylor introduced Gabby Kinney, aka Honey Badger, into All New Wolverine a few years back. And for those who follow me on Twitter at all, or I probably mentioned it on Panel to Panel / God, now I can't remember what the heck our live show was called before it was Panel to Panel. But I've followed our live show streamings that I've been part of in the past. You all know that I goddamn love Gabby as a character. I honestly think she's one of the best new characters added to any Deep Big 2 title in the last couple of years. So I'm very optimistic about, so I know that Tom Taylor can pull this sort of thing off. Admittedly, we don't know anything about Spider-Bite other than the fact that it seems to be like a little kid version of Spider-Man. The suit seems to be basically identical to the one that Peter's wearing. But I know some people are a little nervous or apprehensive about this, like worried that he might end up supplanting Miles or as an attempt to try and replace him. I don't really believe that for a second. I feel like, Tom Taylor, at least the way he comes across on Twitter and whatnot in interviews, seems like a relatively decent guy, and I don't think he'd be someone who would ever want to replace Miles or anything like that. And even if he did, it's not something that's feasible in the post-Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse world, frankly, so I'm not really worried about that, but I can understand other people being worried about it. But yeah, and it's something that people have been talking about the last day or so since the solicits for Marvel dropped for May. But hopefully it should be fun. One other thing to note, I think, is the fact that Yelindres Sinar, I always butcher his first name, and I apologize for that, but Mr. Sinar, who's joining the book on art with issue 5 in April, is actually still drawing the book with issue 6 in May, so I think it's interesting to note because I was kind of hoping that Juan Cabal would remain on the book long term, so I'm guessing maybe not, or maybe he just is taking an arc off, but hopefully he'll be back. Anyway.
I think he'll be back, but
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, my stance on this is that I will remain optimistic because I really like the first 2 issues of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. But issue 3, which we talked about on this week's episode of Panel to Panel, it jumped like a huge shark that I didn't think would be possible for main ongoing Peter Parker title. But it just kind of felt very out of place, and until this story develops, I'm gonna feel like it's out of place. So I hope it all wraps up well and it'll be understandable. But it's just I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because I don't want to spoil that for you because you should experience that for yourself. You should experience the confusion and the what the fuck nature of it for yourself. But,
and decent dialogue and gorgeous artwork. I do want to point that out.
Yeah.
Like I think we came across a little negative with, and I mean, certain amount of negativity given the weirdness of the plot points in issue number 3 of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is understandable, but at the same time, there are still some very strong points to that book. And I'm still very much looking forward to issue number 5 in April when Aunt May tells Peter that she has cancer.
Yeah, me
because
too.
That's going to be fucking devastating and amazing.
It will be. And yeah, I'm hoping for the best for this book moving forward. But I'm hoping that this just because like it with Spider Bite be very and I'm hoping the headline is just trying to sensationalize it. I feel like it is because it would be, in my opinion, it would be kind of crappy writing if out of nowhere this new Spider Person just showed up and started just being, and it was just being like, oh, here's a new main character in a Spider-Man book now. Now you have to like this person, and it depends on the execution. I'm hoping that it's just like a one-time thing, or just like something like, oh, 2 universes are accidentally smashing into one another, and so there's this other universe Spider Person parading around. I'm hoping something like that is the case, because in my opinion, we have too many Spider people, and it's not one of those things where it's like the amount of Spider people makes Peter Parker less special. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. What makes them all special is what makes them all Spider people. That's the gist of it. It just so happens that Peter Parker has been the one that's been focused on for the past 50 years. But I like just in terms of characters and how many, because we have 2 Peter Parker titles, we have 1 Miles Morales title, we have 1 Spider-Gwen title. I'm sure there are others that I'm forgetting, but like we have a lot of Spider people in general.
Okay, I think the current list for ongoings is Amazing Spider-Man, which doubles ships. We have Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Symbiote Spider-Man starting in March or April, I think. Although apparently that's a flashback storyline.
Oh yeah, we have that, and we have CD at War, which is the adaptation of the game. And then we have Life Story, which admittedly I'm looking forward to those 2, but at the same time it is kind of overloaded.
And then again in May you also have the I think two different times that Peter's in.
Oh yeah.
One of them's a one shot, but the other one is like a 4-part miniseries, I think, or was it 3?
Yeah. I don't know, but there's just a lot going on, and I feel like adding a whole new Spider Person at this point, especially because this year is giving us a lot of Spider-Man content, and there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and I'm not in a position where I really want to try to get invested in a new Spider Person, in my opinion, at least, because
I could see the frustration there and whatnot. I'm just considering how much I goddamn love Tom Taylor's writing. I'm just gonna hold off on saying one thing or another. I'm just gonna hope that whatever this is, that it's good, sort of thing. I mean, I was kind of hoping that we could potentially get a really fun story that happened to feature, Peter and or like happened to feature like a new character or something. Not necessarily a direct copy of Gabby, but a similar sort of situation of having a new character spin out of this that's just as beloved as Gabby. Because I don't know, I think every book deserves that sort of thing.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how it is until whenever it comes out in May. But yeah. So with that being said,
yeah.
Oh,
sorry,
what?
just that I know. I just still going through the May solicits, and I noticed a couple other things that feature Miles or Venom. Venom's actually in Marvel Comics Presents number 5. But the list who's writing the story in that, but basically there's like a tale of one of 80's Marvel's biggest creations, that most lethal protector's Venom. So it's probably like an old school 80's style Venom story. And then it looks like Miles Morales is I mean, I know he's going to be in the next 2 issues of the Shuri ongoing series, with the guest creative team taking over the book for March and April. Since that story is set in New York, but it looks like he's also still in the book for issue number 8, with the regular writer coming back on board, because it's got this really gorgeous cover of Shuri standing like on top of this one New York City bridge with like the archways, like graffitied archways above her, sunlight shining from behind her, and Miles hanging down from below. Oh, Miles has a spray paint can. Oh, they both do. That's kind of nice. They basically really done like a fun little bit of graffiti there. Okay. Now I get it. The graffiti says Wakanda Forever. Okay, I love that. That cover's awesome.
I need to see that cover.
Yeah.
Send that to me later. But yeah. For with that, with all that jazz and whatnot, we will move this over to everybody's favorite 90's series. That was the first appearance of Marvel's version of Reverse Flash for Spider-Man. the man himself, Venom. I just realized that it's like, wow, Venom kind of looks like a Marvel's attempt at making an Eobard Thawne to Peter's Barry Allen. Like, I mean, I'm not saying the idea of Venom was like created by a bunch of different people and sold and whatnot for $275. That was a ripoff. But
yeah, someone's kicking themselves.
Yeah. Like Todd McFarlane was saying he created Venom, and then there are other people saying like, no, we co-created Venom or whatnot. It's just a mess. But yeah, it is kind of like Marvel's version of Reverse Flash in a way, or Professor Zoom. I feel weird calling, just because like my first introduction to the Flash was the show, so I feel so weird calling Eobard Thawne Professor Zoom.
Well, they're separate, I think. I mean, it's always confused me, but
apparently Eobard is called Professor Zoom and Reverse Flash, and Hunter Zolomon is just called Zoom.
Okay, yeah.
And Reverse Flash. It's weird. I'm sounding like everybody who's like a Flash fanatic is probably being like, you don't know shit, boy. And yeah, I don't. But it is.
Continuity is hard, people.
It is.
Let's not get into let's not even get into Donna Troy or Legion of Superheroes nonsense.
Oh, it's so funny because like one of my professor in theater history was talking about high art versus low art, and talking about like niche audiences, and it's like people consider comics to being low art, but you can't just jump into the middle of an X-Men run and expect to understand everything. I'm like, wow, this guy's a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
But
he knows what's up, that's for
yeah. But yeah,
it's frustrating as hell that people can't do that, because honestly, comics should be able to do that. Like,
yeah, they should.
Like, late great Stanley's personal philosophy was that every comic is should be readable, because every comic should be possibly someone's first comic.
That is very true. That is very true. But that's just how things are. But back on topic.
Yeah.
The 90's series. Yeah. Goodbye. End of the episode. I'm kidding. Okay. No. Yeah. The 90's series and the first Raimi Spider-Man movie were my first introductions to the character. I can't remember which came first though. It might have been the Raimi movie, at least as far back in my memory. But I think like it might have been the the series too, because when I was a kid, I had this DVD of the first DVD that was released.
Mm-hmm.
Series, which is like the Ultimate Villain Showdown, which is like it's got a couple episodes with Doc Ock, it's got a couple episodes with Goblin, it's got a couple episodes with Rocket Racer.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's favorite villain, Rocket Racer.
He's due for a comeback. Waiting for his debut in the MCU.
Oh boy, we can't wait. You know, eventually they're gonna make a movie about Rocket Racer in like 2035.
I would honestly watch it. I'm not gonna lie. I love his gimmick.
Yeah, but yeah. So I got that DVD, and I need to get another copy of it because I get so nostalgic for like old DVD main menus and special features. It's that
God,
weird
I miss
thing.
that. There used to be an art to that.
There used to be, and now it's gone with Blu-rays. And like, I love the quality of Blu-rays, but like, you there's no fun to it anymore. There's no fun to buying a Blu-ray and flipping through the menus to see what's up.
Because everyone streams everything, even though so much shit is just not available to stream through some means or another.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about one Blu-ray at least is that the Force Awakens Blu-ray at least tried to bring that back. Because you know how all the DVDs for Star Wars in like the mid 2000s, like the menu would always change and like have scenes from the movie playing throughout a certain field of something, like something that was in the movie will be changed to be like a screen for all this stuff going on. The Force Awakens did that for the scene where in like Rey's first scene where she's like rappelling down the Star Destroyer. They did that, which I respect a lot because I'm a huge fucking nerd about that stuff.
No, I agree.
I'm such a nerd that like I remember a hidden feature on the Spider-Man 1 DVD where if you put it in your computer, you'd access like this weird CD-ROM thing, and there were extra features on that.
But, I still remember shit like in the DV for the the first X-Men movie, how there was an Easter egg in there where you could find this like completely gag deleted scene they made that was never going to be part of the movie, where whilst they're in during the climax of the movie when they're on Ellis Island inside the Statue of Liberty, Spider-Man randomly just shows up and then just walks off.
He's like, I remember that. He's like, wait, I am in the wrong movie. I am so sorry. And then Cyclops just chases after him.
God, pretty much, yeah.
That's the closest we've gotten ever having any interaction in live action, aside from Hugh Jackman supposed to be in like the first Sam Raimi movie, but they couldn't find his suit at all. God damn that producer who didn't find his suit. But anyway, but yeah, like I had that DVD and I just flipped through all the main menus all the time. And this is back when
I think I have one or two of them. I might dig up mine after we're done this.
Scared of Venom and Carnage. Like there was like this Rogues Gallery special feature where you like there's like these shadows of different villains and you move the cursor on them and you see the different villains and you click on them and there's like there's biography and scenes from different episodes about them. There was one for Venom and one for Carnage, and they both terrified me and I didn't want to click on them at all. But yeah, like it's the first episodes I watched were like those first ones on that DVD, which had Doc Ock and basically like Peter wanting to quit being Spider-Man, and then it's like the first appearance of Madam Web, and she's like, you must be Spider-Man and you must go say hi to this little girl because she's a big fan of you. And so he goes and basically retells his origin to her, and this is like 3 seasons in, and the show never started with an origin. It tried to pull a Batman series by just like having the origin explained over time. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But yeah, so that was interesting. I have a lot of good memories about that. But
I remember Sensational Spider-Man did the same thing later, although they addressed the origin story by the end of season 1, and they did their Venom story arc there.
Wait, did you say sensational or spectacular?
Or spectacular, yeah, sorry. I don't know why I said sensational.
I was like, oh god, I gotta find. I guess that's a hidden one that everyone just forgot about.
Yeah,
But
you heard it. It's only only the really highbrow Spider-Man fans have seen.
yeah, I've seen Sensational Spider-Man.
It's the one with the Lady Doc Ock, and it actually is like Judas Traveler, but he's actually written well, and the clone size like awesome.
Oh boy, Lady Doc Ock before she became popular.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's interesting about the show is that this is like the first time Venom was ever adapted, like beyond the comics, and it took me a while. Like, I just only realized that a few years ago. I'm like, wow, this is the first like on-screen appearance of Venom, like in any medium whatsoever beyond the comic, and it's pretty damn good because like they did the job probably of making him terrifying, like. And I think they nailed Eddie's character better than the comics did. Yeah, like in that first episode that Venom's in, like his voice is just like absolutely terrifying with how it's distorted and there's like multiple voices at once. It feels like two different entities are comes into. And we were saying this in our attempt from last week that may or may not have happened with Cletus Cassidy. It's so weird how they got like the serial killer Cletus Cassidy down so well, but he's still just like he's like a childish brat in a way. Like all he does is like try to blow up a building, and we don't see anything else that he does. But we get one scene of him in a prison, which is like my favorite thing ever, where he's folding a paper airplane while laughing maniacally like a 5-year-old, and then he just throws the paper plane out of the cell bars, and we just see it flying around for a bit. It's not doing anything. It's not like he's attached anything to it. He just throws a paper airplane, and that's significant for some reason, but that's funny to me.
But I mean, like the stuff with Carnage, and what always tickled me with the 90s animated Spider-Man series is how they were able to pull it, like not too many, but they were able to pull in different Marvel characters beyond the Spider-Man stable of characters to have like different guest appearances and whatnot, and be involved in different plots. And with Carnage, his entire origin within the animated series is actually attached to a plot that Baron Mordo and Dormammu are trying to pull off. And it's like when he first appears, it's trying to steal something from Stark Industries. So we have a guest appearance of War Machine in the episode, and later Iron Man. Like, it's kind of fucking hilarious how weird something like the show could get. But I mean, at the same time, how kind of fun it was to see different characters. Like, and just the fact that this show existed I mean, we mentioned the fact that they were able to pull off, I mean, like they never actively show anything, but they were able to somehow pull off implying the kind of awful stuff that Cletus Cassidy is known for in a series where they were never allowed to show Peter actively punching someone. They were never allowed to use the words die or kill or murder, and they weren't allowed to use the word blood.
And they weren't allowed to use like actual guns either. Like every cop had to have like a laser gun. Every criminal had to have a laser gun. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's like I never like thought about it as a kid, but I'm like, why do cops in this universe have laser guns? Like it's admittedly cool, but like why? And then like I heard about all the shit the producers had to deal with, and it's like, Jesus, like they were not dealt a good hand at all. Like,
no, it's unfortunate when, like, granted, the timing for the show was released is the main reason why it was able to be made in the first place, but at the same time, this was a show that came out after both the first couple seasons of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, wherein after that the show started to get censored there with stuff like getting rid of Mikey's nunchucks and giving him the grapple and whatnot, and making the show even sillier. And then also a couple of years after Batman the Animated Series first started airing, which was the single biggest influence for this, and probably the reason why the network wanted the show and approved of it, is because of the success that Batman the Animated Series had. But the thing is, Batman the Animated Series was lucky enough that it was never really censored, like suffered that kind of censoring.
What was it on? Was it on like WB Kids
I think it was on Fox for Spider-Man.
No, Batman.
Oh, I think it was Kids WB, because I think at that point they had already been bought up
Yeah.
by...
You know, like, in hindsight, like, Spider-Man would have been, like, much better off on, like, Disney, or... Because, like, I know people talk a lot about, like, the parameters Disney have, and, like... But, at least back then... I mean, not today, because, like, Ultimate Spider-Man and Marvel's Spider-Man are both just, like, in my opinion, pretty trash. Like, just, like, appealing to the stupid kids and not, like, kids who want to see, like, an actual good show about a superhero. Apparently, Ultimate Spider-Man got better as time went on. I don't know. I didn't care for it because it just, like...
It was too distant itself. Like, it focused way too much on the superhero aspects and way too little on Peter's life as a person.
Yeah, it became... First, it was like a Young Avengers show or Defenders show or whatever. Then it became a Spider-Verse show and just chucked all the characters they were developing to the side because Spider-Verse was popular and they needed to capitalize on that. And now, like, Marvel Spider-Man is doing the same thing because now Miles is in it. Now Gwen is in it. Anya Corazon is going to be a Spider-Person.
I think they were trying to set up Spider-Gwen in that show, but I think they ended up disregarding it because Marvel Rising came about. So because they didn't want to have two shows with...
Yeah, it's a mess. And I had a lot of hope for Marvel Spider-Man. I was like, finally, we can just, like, let it be good. And then as we saw the first footage from it, I'm like,
I mean, the thing that bugs me is, like, the animation itself, because the actual art design for it I really like. But
yeah, the promo art looks amazing. And then, like, the stuff we get in the show is, like, it's like they lied to us through their teeth. And it's like, this is Spider-Man. This is your flagship character. And you're not going to, like, give him a decent budget team. But, like, we're not going to bag on other shows. But, yeah, like, back in the 90s, I feel like Spider-Man could have worked better on, like, whatever Disney's cartoon channel was at the time. Or even on
Disney.
Yeah.
Like, they had, like, the Disney Afternoon and stuff with, like, Gargoyles and DuckTales and...
Yeah, especially if they had Gargoyles. They would have been able to have Spider-Man perfectly well. And even on Nickelodeon, too. Yeah, it's just... Fox Kids just dealt a bad hand to the show, even though it's, like, very memorable. And, like, we can all quote at least one line from it.
Robots. I hate robots.
Shocker! You can't escape me! Yeah, it... Like, we can all at least...
My job, my health, my apartment... You cost me my job, my health, my apartment! I love that line reading Eddie when he's basically like ranting to himself, like, after getting fired from the Bugle and on his way home, and it's just like an eviction notice. It's just like, yeah, that's Peter's fault too. Like, that's Spider-Man's fault too, apparently, that you didn't pay your rent.
Eddie was kind of funny in hindsight. Like, his New York accent was just so funny because he was like,
oh, it was so over exaggerated. Yeah, I love that about it, but
he was the only one with a New York accent. It was
that
was so funny. But but yeah, like, there is something so memorable to anybody about this show. And like, but there are still issues, like the direction for voice. It felt like they didn't really have the best ADR team because, like, sorry, like it didn't feel like the voice actors were given way too much direction, especially in the first season, which is where the infamous "shocker" line is from. So.
And also, I think the line with line I mentioned with Eddie and producer in season 1.
Yeah, like, everybody puts their all into it, but it just feels like a lack of direction. And I mean, the one really good thing was Venom. The way they did the voice for that was, like, beautiful. But yeah, like, it was really dealt a bad hand, especially in the end game when, like, we had Secret Wars. They were adapting Secret Wars. And then, like, this is like the big test from the Beyonder. Then after Peters and all the heroes are leaving, was it called Battle World in the show, or was it just?
I think it might have been. Well, I mean, I think it was called. I think it was just referred to as Secret Wars, but I don't know if they ever called it Battle World or not. I'd have to.
We'll call it Battle World for the sake of keeping in contact. After like Peter leaves Battleworld, he's like, okay, I'm finally gonna get back home. I'm going to take a good nap and I'm gonna find Mary Jane. And then the Beyonder just like thrusts him into a desolate world where Spider Carnage is reigning free and New York is on fire and Robbie Robertson hates Peter or hates Spider-Man. Still like up and kicking the Daily Bugle when New York is on fire. Have Spider-Verse before Spider-Verse was a thing, and Peter's like, "You got to be fucking kidding me! I'm tired. I just want to find Mary Spider people." And that was an admittedly good finale. If it was intended to be the finale, it would have been a good finale. Especially with everything going on with Spider Carnage and how they used Gwen Stacy too. Like, because Gwen was never in the show at all. Because they couldn't do the Goblin story with her. I mean, they and how the Green Goblin disappeared too, but they there was no way they could do the Gwen Stacy story without being like censored or whatever. So they just had Gwen be in like the perfect Peter's universe, the Peter with the spider armor, and then like when Peter's facing down Spider Carnage, he brings Uncle Ben because Uncle Ben's still alive, and
because it's the perfect world for Peter. So,
but this was the point where like Christopher Daniel Barnes is like really good as voicing Peter, and that showed when like he was acting as the Peter infected by the Carnage symbiote, and he's just breaking down and crying, remembering because he's like so guilty and disappointed in himself, and then he just kills himself, but like in a very funny quick second frame. Like he just vaporizes himself by jumping into a portal.
Yeah, it's kind of goofy.
I want someone to make a gif of that, like just like
that needs to be a gif.
Yeah, I'll make one day. I'll find it. I'll make one day. But yeah, that last episode was especially touching when he took the non-powered Spider-Man to his world, and he finds that like, oh yeah, Spider-Man's a fictional character in this universe, and this guy plays him on TV. So I think we're supposed to assume that guy is Christopher Daniel Barnes. I think we're supposed to assume that. And then he takes him to meet Stan Lee, and then Peter swings with Stan Lee, and it's just such a touching tribute. And then Madam Web's finally like, all right, Peter, I'll grant you your wish. And Peter's just like, thank fucking God. And then they go off to find Mary Jane in a season 6 that never happened. Like one day I just really want them to pull a Smallville season 11 and just like continue the story through a comic line.
I think it would be really cool to do that, and honestly, I think there'd be definitely enough interest.
Just like a short comic line.
I remember they did the similar thing with X-Men 92 like a couple years back, and I'm pretty certain that sold okay. I mean, I don't know that it sold crazy well, but I think it did decent numbers.
Yeah, I feel like they could.
At the very least, it'd be cool to do as like a digital first exclusive thing, and then release like the trade for it later, like what they've been doing lately with the various Defenders related books, like Jessica Jones, Daughters of the Dragon, and whatnot.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it would be worth it to do. Also, like if they decide, well, like I can see why people would want Spectacular Spider-Man to try to do that, but me personally, I feel like it still has a chance of being revived on screen. Because I mean, if they could get Clone Wars back, you can get anything back. Because like that was owned by Cartoon Network. Disney had to finagle the right Cartoon Network. I feel like they will try eventually. Somehow, some way, they got to have some Spider-Man content on Disney Plus. And I feel like Spectacular would be a good thing to do. Just like give it the 3 more seasons it deserved.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let the original people come back. Hell, you could even, because like it was supposed to be 5 seasons, and then they were supposed to have like 2 animated movies of Peter in college. And I don't know if they were supposed to be straight to DVD or if they were supposed to be live action, but yeah, like, or if not live action, if they're supposed to be like released in theaters. But I think Disney could easily do that. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to handle the copyrights to that right now. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a mess right now.
It's just all about like getting the rights for that series specifically from Sony, because they have the TV rights, but Sony still has the rights to that specific series, so they can't continue it until they finagle around with the contracts. But they can. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, and Apple will probably buy Sony in the next couple of years, so we'll see. But yeah, but I would definitely like to see this series continued in a comic, because
same. I would definitely read it. I feel like there's definitely enough writers out there who, like, at this point, have honestly grown up with the show the same way we have. I would love to revisit it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same way that they're like, you see like writers occasionally like saying like, I would love to do a follow up to like Batman Returns in comic form, or Batman Forever, or Batman and Robin. Which honestly, any of those I would love to see too.
Yeah, agreed. Like and they could work with the original writers and producers. Going to do for the 6th season. It sounded weird because there was going to be time travel and going back to Victorian London, but hopefully that wouldn't last for too long.
Hopefully not.
Because yeah, a lot of people are taboo about time travel in Marvel. I'm not as much, as long as it works for certain characters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an X-Men fan, so I can't bitch about time travel. That makes me hypocrite.
Yeah, like some people are like, apparently. And like, I'm not saying this to like put them down or anything, but like some people are like anxious about time travel being used in Endgame, and it's like, what? In my opinion, it's like, what other way do you think this could happen? Like how they're gonna fix everything? They're not just like, it would be dumb. Like, as much as I'm okay with Carol being like the most powerful superhero in the MCU, it would be dumb if they just like, if she's just a Deus Ex Machina against Thanos. I think she should be like the strongest, like she and Thor should be the strongest ones against Thanos, but it shouldn't just be like she hits him one time and then he dies and then they get the gauntlet.
Yeah,
there will probably,
the gauntlet by itself really shouldn't fix things, because that kind of spins the whole thing from the ending of the previous film, and also just the fact that the gauntlet is almost completely trashed at the end of the movie.
Yeah, apparently it'll get fixed. But like, I'm fine. Like, I'll wait to see what happens. But like, if time travel happens, I don't think it's like the most broken thing that could happen to the MCU. Because like, this is it's a universe where anything can happen. Comics are a universe where anything can happen.
Yep.
As long as it makes sense. Yeah, as long as it makes sense for the characters the story is focusing on, and for the Avengers, I think it makes sense. So we'll see how that happens. But with Spider-Man. Universe hopping is already a thing that's like hard to swallow, but I think it's worked out pretty well, especially with Into the Spider-Verse. But the time travel thing they were gonna do would have been really weird and really different. So I really want to see how they would have handled that. But yeah, wasn't season 2 like entirely about Peter becoming Man-Spider?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
X-Men,
like even to the point where they had the 2-part X-Men crossover, which the first part is probably one of my favorite episodes of the whole series.
Yeah,
by James DeMatteis, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Like that was an interesting season, but and then like Peter and Rogue had a thing which was like odd, but not like the strange. It's one of those things like it's not the strangest thing that could have happened. You could buy that if it did happen, but it's also odd because you don't. That's like, as far as I know,
think of right off the top of your head, no.
Yeah, that we have. I don't think that was in the comics at all.
Not that I can recall, but it could be out there somewhere. For all I know, could be like some sort of weird what if thing somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but Because I mean, Rogue in that show is always just like it was very obvious her pairing was with Remy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean,
But
her character in general is played up as being pretty flirty because it's basically a defense mechanism to, like, it's kind of a weird kind of reverse defense mechanism to somewhat kind of distance people by making them a bit uncomfortable with her being so flirty so that they don't get too close to her because of her power.
That's deep. That's deep. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I sound so dumb as if like I thought that was just something.
No, I mean, I think there was
do,
something a little bit more. I think there was some with Peter in that, but like in general, I think that, I mean, that's could just be me reading too much into it as well. But
that makes sense. That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, it's like reverse psychology. But anyway, yeah, there was that, and then the way they did Captain America was very weird. It's like he had his own team. They brought Captain America in the fifth and final season. Like they didn't have him in anything else. Like nobody knew of Captain America really. And then like we see that he had his own team of random heroes that I don't think were in comics.
I think there was that was a Golden Age team.
Yeah, maybe. I'm probably. I don't know. They didn't have
because like I remember the Wizard and the Blue Marvel definitely existed prior to the show. I remember in Miss America.
Yeah. I know they didn't have Bucky because no killing. But then they brought Cap back from the icicle, and then
only they had him an icicle, and this was just weird. It's like he and the Red Skull are trapped in this like energy field that keeps them locked away for several decades.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was weird, but it was fun because like they also established that Chameleon is his son, I think.
Yeah, I remember that. There was a whole thing where Peter was going into Russia and finding stuff out about his parents too.
Yeah, because they adapt the bit about Peter's parents being
agents.
Yeah.
But they did that too, and they also like. God, who else? They had Daredevil for a couple of episodes, and that was really cool.
Yeah, well, that fits so naturally just because Kingpin's such a great antagonist for both of them, and Kingpin was already such a prominent figure in Spider-Man the animated series at that point.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of good stuff about the show. It's not perfect by any means, but yeah, there is a lot to love about it. If you haven't seen it, it's hard to recommend it because like it hasn't aged well really.
There's some goofy, cheesy charm to it though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there is a lot of good stuff in it that like I think should be seen, but there is some stuff that does show its age. So but it is important to see if you are a Spider-Man fan. It's not like as clean as Spectacular, but it is still pretty damn good. I just wish more. Whatever show comes after Marvel's Spider-Man, I hope it takes more cues from this or Spectacular, because I don't know. It's just but we are running out of time right now, so. We hope you guys, not me. It's just me here. I've been talking to myself. I'm a ghost. But yeah, so we hope you guys had a good time listening, and we hope that this makes up for the delay from last week. You can follow us on Twitter. We are at LOTE_podcast. You can follow On Comics Ground on Twitter. It's at On Comics Ground. You can subscribe to the On Comics Ground channel in the link below. You can please like the video, subscribe, share it, please. We'd love you forever.
Leave a comment if you want. Like maybe comment. Tell us like what your if you have any fond memories of the Spider-Man animated series, or again, if there's another particular form of Spider-Man media you want us to talk about, or even just like comment about like some sort of upcoming Spider-Man comic thing you're looking forward to or curious about.
Absolutely. Yeah, like please leave a comment, give us your feedback. It would mean a lot. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at the Alec Thorn. You can follow Ian on Twitter. He is at CalAldata. Basically, I had fun talking about this shit.
Me too. Yeah.
Ian, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think you mostly summed it up. I mean, other than that, if you want to just check out our website itself on comicsbrand.com, we've got a lot of fun op-ed pieces and reviews and news stories that you can kind of browse through. I know Alec's Spider reviews are always really good. I'm looking forward to his Spencer and Locke reviews when
Thank
those
you.
kind of start to drop.
Thank you.
No problem. It's the truth, man. You can check out some of the other really fun and really like thought-provoking and like deep and well-written op-ed pieces we have. I know one of our other writers, Michelle, dropped a really good op-ed piece talking about the lack of women within the Superman office right now at DC Comics. So give that a read. But yeah, other than that, just same as usual. Hashtag Poison Ivy League forever. Hashtag Save Poison Ivy.
Alright. Yeah, so everybody, we hope you had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Stay safe from the zombie deer that are out there. Don't get infected. If you get infected, amputate that limb.
Or go live off a far-off island by yourself. Don't bring that anywhere near us.
Please don't. We do not want to live in The Last of Us.
But if you must do that, be sure to bring a computer or a tablet or something so you can still watch our stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
just because you become zombified doesn't mean you get to skip out on this show weekly, okay?
Exactly.
But yeah, we hope you guys had a good time, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Yeah.